chapter 37, verse 18. Hast thou with him spread out the sky, which is strong, and as a molten looking glass. And so there is a barrier right now between our dimension and that fourth dimension, and those four-dimensional objects, those angels, those cherubs, those beasts, with their wheels, have the ability to penetrate that barrier and appear in our dimension. That's what I believe the Bible's teaching us, and I'm going to show you some more things from the Scriptures that hopefully will convince you of the exact nature of the entire UFO phenomenon, from Area 51 to alien abductions to experiments that are being done to these chariots that are flying around. I hope to show you from the Scriptures exactly what these things are all about. Now, we go back to Ezekiel chapter 1 again. The Bible is telling us about these cherubs. One had the appearance of a man, one had the appearance of an ox, one had the appearance of an eagle, one had the appearance of a lion. There's actually another type. In fact, there's several other types of these angels. Eagles are mentioned. Well, we mentioned an eagle. Owls are mentioned. There's another type of these cherubs that the Bible refers to. Sort of the serpentine cherubs. One in particular, very, very high-ranking cherub in the Bible. His name is Lucifer. And he's a dragon. He's a serpent. He is the devil himself. Ezekiel chapter 28, look at what the Bible calls him. Thou art the anointed cherub that covereth, and I have set thee so. Thou wast upon the holy mountain of God. Thou hast walked up and down in the midst of the stones of fire. Thou wast perfect in thy ways from the day that thou wast created, till iniquity was found in thee. And what was the result of that iniquity? God said in Isaiah 14, verse 12, How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? And then we reference back what we saw earlier, Revelation chapter 12, and the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with them. The Bible says in Psalm chapter 78, verse 49, here's how the Bible describes these angels. He cast upon them the fierceness of his anger, wrath, and indignation, and trouble, by sending evil angels among them. Now, here's something I want you to understand. Here, now, first of all, we have the dragon. He is a cherub, which means he is a beast, and cherubs are always associated with their wheels, and the spirit of the beast would be in the wheels. We also have a third of the angelic realm, beasts themselves, cherubs, being cast out of heaven because of their infidelity to God, because of their rebellion, because of the war that took place. And God cast them out of heaven. And now we're seeing upon planet Earth right now an increase. I keep talking about this, but an increase in evil and the terrible things that are going on. And mankind is not getting better. Mankind is getting worse. And God says, as a result of that, I am going to send to mankind, I'm going to release them. I'm going to release evil angels among them. Now, something that throughout all the years, I remember watching a TV, here we go with a TV show again from the 70s. It was a show called Land of the Lost. And I was just infatuated with this thing, because here, Marshall, Will, and Holly, on a routine expedition, all of a sudden an earthquake takes place, and a gateway opens up, a portal, and they fall into a new dimension. It's sort of, they call it the land of the lost. It's a land between time, or a land between worlds. And inhabiting this world are these creatures. They were called Sleestaks, and they were mean, and they threw darts, and oh, they were terrible. These Sleestaks looked like reptiles. They looked like dragons. They looked like serpents or snakes or things like that. And I want you to get a hold of this, because along with all of the ideas that go along with the whole UFO movement is that there's always an occurrence or always some idea that these aliens, quote unquote, these aliens that are associated with these UFOs are reptilian in their design, in their appearance, maybe even in their character. They're reptilian. Ancient artifacts dug up, this one out of Iraq, shows the goddess, and she kind of looks like an alligator. She is reptilian in her appearance. Movies that have been made featuring aliens that were like serpents and dragons and things like that. We have the Dracon from Enemy Mine. We have the alien from Signs, associated with crop circles, by the way. You know these things that, and I have yet to begun to study and research crop circles. But these things that, you know, maybe there is some earthly explanation to some of these, but all of a sudden, out in the field, there appears these magnificent carvings, or whatever you want to call them, out there that they defy explanation. Where did they come from? In the movie Signs, the aliens that were associated with these things were reptilian aliens. We have Grigg from The Last Starfighter. This one goes back into the 80s. And then we have V, the visitors who are masking their appearance, but really they are reptilian in their nature. These are, I believe, a sort of a representation of these evil angels, of these serpents that have been cast out of heaven. These evil angels that God is now dispatching to planet Earth to bring about the destruction of mankind on this earth. I believe that this is where they're headed. You know, some of these alien movies, and we're just flooded with alien movies. Some of these alien movies make it look like, Steven Spielberg's like the best of them, they make it look like these aliens, you know, they just really want to help us and bring us into a new age of peace and enlightenment. We're going to talk about that. Some of them actually come out and say these things are not good. They're going to kill us. They're going to lead to colonization. They're going to take over. Believe that one. Because that's the message of the Scriptures, is that these evil angels, these reptilian angels, these cherubs, these beasts, are being sent down from heaven. They're actually falling down, associated with their UFO wheels. They're actually falling down. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but this is what the Bible's telling us. We're about to be invaded by principalities, powers, rulers of darkness, and spiritual wickedness in high places. So the devil's going to fall, and these angels are going to fall. And this is something I remember reading. I've read a lot of things. I keep up here a copy of several books. This is the Aquarian conspiracy, and we're about to enter into the dawn of the age of Aquarius, the age of harmony and peace and enlightenment. Really, what the whole New Age movement is based upon. Shirley MacLaine talks about this. She was one of the famous New Agers. And Shirley MacLaine and these others were channeling all of these entities, these alien forces from outside, the ascended masters, and they were saying, at some point the aliens are going to come down. They're going to bring us into a new age of enlightenment, of peace. They're actually going to bring us good things. They're going to cure all of our cancer. They're going to eliminate war on the earth. They're going to do all of these wonderful things. Movies that about this. Starman. I talked about this movie several times. The imagery here is just absolutely fascinating to me from someone who knows what the Bible says about the coming of the Antichrist in the last days. But here we have an alien falling from heaven. He crashes in his wheel, his UFO, his ship. The government gets involved. Think about that for a minute. He mates with a human woman. Where have we heard that one before? Genesis chapter 6. Go read it. It's there. Every mythology in the world talks about aliens or gods coming down from heaven and mating with human women and creating a hybrid race. We're going to talk about that here in a little bit. But Starman, basically, once she is impregnated by the alien, by the star, he goes back up into heaven. Once he tells her that she's going to have a baby, and this baby is going to be born. He's going to be a great teacher on the earth. Oh, we can't wait for this guy to show up. He's going to solve all of our problems. That's what's being taught. The movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind. I've watched this. I remember going to see this movie as a young man. I was just, wow. I mean, we're talking 1977. The special effects of this thing was ginormous. I'm watching this movie and I'm just dazzled by the aliens and the UFOs. And part of me, even as a Christian boy, part of me is going, oh, I wonder if they're real and they're going to come down. Don't be deceived by any means. Paul says in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, don't be deceived by the lights. Don't be dazzled by the movements. Don't be dazzled by the movies that are trying to herald these aliens coming to us or these evil angels as a good thing. But I did some research a few years ago, and I've taught this in several things. The whole Close Encounters of the Third Kind movie was basically telling you the story of the new age, and it's like the exact opposite of God. In the story of God meeting with His people, we have the 12 tribes meeting God at the mountain of God, and God is going to give them His law. He's going to bring them to enlightenment. Here in Steven Spielberg's movie Close Encounters, they actually show a clip of the Ten Commandments movie in the background. One of the kids says, "Hey Mom, Ten Commandments on." They're telling you that it's a mockery of that because 12 people have an alien visitation upon them. Roy Neary, the light comes on, you know, the mailboxes are swaying, and he gets this idea to go to this mountain that just happens to be Devil's Tower, not the mountain of God. And there's something else about Roy Neary going into the mothership that really fascinates me. But they give you this idea that these aliens are just all magnificent, wonderful, wonderful things. And I remember watching the movie Close Encounters, and this gigantic alien comes walking down there. And you see his face. He is sort of the prototypical gray alien that a lot of the abductees have seen. A lot of people record seeing this, and they're all seeing the same thing here. And so Spielberg incorporates that into his film. And here we have this gray alien. And I remember discovering a couple years ago that somebody else, long before Steven Spielberg, had seen this entity, this alien, before. His name was Aleister Crowley. Aleister Crowley called himself 666, the Beast. One of the most evil men in the last, let's say, 100 years has been Aleister Crowley. And the influence of Aleister Crowley in music, TV shows, film, media itself, politics, philosophy, the influence of Aleister Crowley and others like Elise Bailey and Helena Blavatsky and others, the Theosophical Society, the Ordo Templi Orientalis, and all of these other occult organizations that were started by Blavatsky and Crowley, their influence is so deeply rooted in most everything that we see, and I even see it moving into the church. It's very scary. But Crowley had a goal in his life. Crowley, there was one special alien, a special entity that Crowley wanted to get in contact with. He wanted to make contact because he felt if he could open this special portal, you know, between this dimension and that dimension, that upon meeting this special entity that he called Lamb, L-A-M, that would bring the world into a new age of peace and harmony and enlightenment, a new age of Luciferianism, if you want to call it that, because that's what Crowley was. And he actually built a house called the Boleskine House. And he actually had it built and designed in such a way so that he could perform all the right rituals and face the right direction and have all the elements of the house, you know, working together so the portal could be opened. And he actually met Lamb. And he drew a picture of him. And Lamb, pretty much, is the same gray alien, big head, small mouth, very small nose. The eyes are sometimes different. But that's who Crowley saw. And that's who all of these other abductees